So that was my initial siting plan for it. The building size and footprint, right, it has to stay underneath a certain square footage across the whole property, right? It's called, it's like FAR, right? It's a measure of the square footage that you can build on a property. It may be 5 buildings, it could be, so it could be less, right? That all depends upon the end user, the customer, how they want to take advantage of the site, based upon the type of requirement they're looking to develop.
How, with all of those buildings there, and all the lights, and all the heat that's generated from the motors trying to cool the water and everything, how do you stop that from becoming a thermal island where it creates so much heat that the average temperature around here will go up 5 degrees?
And so we're talking about any type of on-site gens we might use?
Yeah, it's been.
We're looking to have those enclosed.
Okay, but it still creates
noise impact.
a thermal island, so to speak, that the temperature in the surrounding areas raise.
I would have to study the idea that it's gonna raise it.
It's done that. It's done that in Virginia.
Okay.
Why would it not here?
Ma'am, I'd have to study that. That's a good point. I'll write that down.
Hello, can you please state your name?
Yeah, Paul J. Gibbs,
And your address.
3145 Dogwood Drive, Oregon, Ohio. Mr. Turner, you're a brave man for coming here.
Oh,
Hey,
I actually enjoy doing this.
I know you do, and we appreciate you coming. Who is the owner of this land right now?
The owner of it right now is the Oregon Economic Development Foundation.
Okay, and the purchase agreement is already in place for what?
It was voted unanimously by City Council in November of 2024.
Right. The purchase agreement was.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought that was for the zoning change.
The zoning change, so within the purchase agreement, this is standard, we have contingencies, right? So we had a number of energy contingencies, we had a zoning contingency. Because OEDF owned the land, OEDF took it through to do the last zoning of it. Now, I want to remind everyone that most of the property was already zoned for our use. It was about 10 acres or so down in the southeast corner that needed to be rezoned, and that's what the rezoning was about. It was just kind of squaring off. And this is what the city was looking to acquire anyway for Blue Innovation. So rezoning was always a plan for that to bring about an industrial development on site.
Okay, so you're working on developing the land right now?
Yes, sir.
For a client?
Yes, sir.
Which we don't know who it is, right?
Yes, but that'll come out during this process. I want to remind everyone, we are still, these processes, I understand everybody's frustration that it feels like these processes take long, right? This has been a year. I've had projects where I've worked on for 4 years. I think Meta, they kept everything under wraps for 2 years before everybody knew what was going on there. So this is a normal part of the process. This is a very, it's complex. Like somebody's looking to invest billions of dollars in your community. And so there's a lot of things that need to be checked down and worked out during that process, right? And we are a part of that, and then there will be other things that will be studied, right? And this is a part of that process, right? This is part of that dialogue where we're getting feedback, right? I'm sitting here jotting down. I think I've been very frank about what I know and don't know, and what I need to get back to folks on, I need to look into, and I appreciate that response. That's why I enjoy coming and doing these things, because
Okay, now you mentioned that you're plugging a couple of wells.
that were pre-existing, that were found in the phase 2 environmental study.
What are the wells for?
I mean, this whole area used to be, oil and gas, and so I'm assuming that they were left over from just in the history. There was nothing, that is a standard process. It's going through ODNR.
Okay, who's paying for that, plugging those wells?
So the city applied for a grant with ODNR, and ODNR is funding the plugging of those wells, and that process is being managed by Vertantis.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oh, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah, makes sense. Appreciate it.
Okay, all right. Ma'am, can you please state your name? Sean Bannick. And she has verified her residency.
perfect.
What's your question? First of all, before I retired this year, semi-retired, I was an environmental health and safety manager for 13 years. So I understand environmental, and I'm glad you guys are asking the right questions. You're very smart. Thank you. I dealt with Title V air permit, so I get that. So there are a lot of regulations for Ohio and a lot of federal regulations, I know that. But the questions you guys are asking are good questions, same questions I have. Before that, I was in demand side management at Toledo Edison for 3 years. When we pull off the grid and have to buy off the grid, it costs more money. That's why you guys get such a high electric bill this summer. I'm assuming that they bought off the grid because in the summer, the demand goes up because of all the air conditioning. So your rates go up when Toledo Edison or now First Energy has to buy off the grid. So what you're talking about too is buying off the grid. So I want you all to know that. Yeah, there's energy there, but when you buy from Toledo Edison to say AEP or someone else, it's gotta be wheeled to you on the grid, and it costs Toledo Edison more money to do that. You're gonna pay for that, okay? So I'm gonna get off topic, because there's probably not another opportunity to ask this, but if we do build this thing, this massive thing, are you gonna guarantee that you're gonna use all local contractors to build this? Because it's in our backyard, it's not over Iowa, it's not down in Texas, it's here. And there's a lot of contractors, I'm sure a lot of you in this audience represent a lot of those contractors who should be entitled to be able to work on this.
No, look, I agree. I think that there's a lot of talent in this region, and the builders that we would be interviewing, that I know the user is considering for this, they have relationships with the trades in the area, and I frankly, these are complex. This takes a high level of skill to build these buildings, and I just, personally, I don't see how you get it done without union labor, because they're the ones who have the training programs in place to make sure that people are on board, they understand how to do things the right way. And you get some of the best, people, people do knock on unions in other parts of the country. For me, they're a hub for talent and reliability and dependability.
Go to the mic.
So the contractors, they have local relationships, and they will pull from those local relationships first. Now, there's so much work to be done that there may not be enough workforce locally. So you might tap out the local, and then you might need to bring in outside workers. I think Meta's project, they're using a mix of folks because there's just so many jobs, right? There's thousands of jobs being supported on that site.
Excuse me, it's
Well,
your
yes.
turn to talk. Thank you.
She's saying we need to have specialized people, and yes, these are highly complex builds. Sorry, so you have a question?
I'm sorry, what is your name?
My name is Mike Mino. I live at 3205 Star, right down the street. So I just know for a fact that I'm an electrician, I'm a union electrician. Every person out there at the Meta Center is a union labor. From iron workers to laborers to electricians to masonry, everything. Okay, the way they man that job is travelers all around the country come here to work. Okay, so I know that for a fact. And my question is the people that are buying it or whatever they're building, what are they giving back to the community? You know, I heard multiple things. I know Meta's giving $1 million a year to the school systems and the community and everything else. I just want to hear from you, like, what are you giving back to us? You know what I'm saying? You're asking a lot from these people, you know, the wetlands and, you know, their electric bills. You know, some don't understand, but, you know, it's fine. This is what we're here for. But what are you going to give back to our kids that are going to be here in the next 20 years, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so this one was this process was a little different, right? So usually when I'm coming into a community, the city doesn't own the site. The municipality or the jurisdiction doesn't own the site. And so we negotiate proffers during rezoning, particularly if there's a larger impact. So say you're converting all ag instead of mostly industrial to a data center site, then you're expected to come with more proffers, and we offer more proffers. This instance, the way we approached it was the city was selling the site. We made an offer on the property. We cited the comps. I remember this, Mike. We cited the comps to say, hey, look, Meta's paying this. And Mike said, forget your comps. I don't care. This is a valuable part to the city, and I want you to pay 50% more per acre than what Meta did. And I knew he was serious, and we paid that. So we are paying one of the highest numbers in the market on this site. I mean, it is $17.4 million that is being directly contributed to the city to use as you see fit. So that's $17.4 million overpaying on the property by 50%. So that to us was how we were giving back, and then it was, I assumed that you folks would engage with your city council on how that could be then distributed to benefit you as citizens. But I'm certainly open to other conversations. As I said, the usual process, when we're going in and rezoning, particularly rezoning a whole site in ag, particularly if we're impacting a comprehensive plan, then even though we're not buying it from the municipality, we are giving things that were called proffers. So proffers in a typical arrangement are, we might contribute to transportation, it might be funding for education, school systems, it could be public services like fire, life, rescue contributions, and parks. Like I'm a big fan of building parks, and those are things that we're always excited to do. But again, it takes kind of community feedback on what's important to you. As I said, in this instance, it's a little different because we just we paid a higher number for the city, and trusting that the city and the residents could figure out how they wanted to spend that money. Thank you.
Please state your name.
Sue Ross,
Sue Ross, if you would mind verifying your address.
1110 South Stadium Road, Oregon.
Thank you. And what is your question for Will?
I have one question. I've heard all these great questions, and I've heard you talk about all the regulations. What I want to know is, are we wasting our time here? Is it a done deal? Are we stuck with this data center coming to Oregon, which we don't?
As I mentioned, the site was already zoned for a data center with on-site generation, just zoned for an industrial use. We are waiting on the detailed load study. As I said, that will be the beginning of the end. That will give us an idea of when closing is. And we are, this site has been, it has been very public. This has been ongoing for a year, so November of, I am answering your question. Yes, I am. We are closing, right? We are waiting on the DLS to confirm power, and then we are setting a closing date, and we're making this happen. We have November 2024. It was voted on 7-0 by the city council.
Don't fry him. Don't.
It was a public meeting. There were members of the public there. I heard their concerns.
Folks, we have people with microphones. Will's here under his own volition. We're here to have a discussion. If we're going to just yell at people, the Oregon police will start to escort everyone out. Okay?
I don't want that. This is a conversation, folks. I appreciate it. Look, I know this is a concerning thing. I'm just, I just want everyone to know this has been a public process the whole time.
Well, for you guys it is.
No, please. I'd like for folks to stay. I'm still taking questions. I really want to hear from you. This was a public process the whole time. I've been there. I heard the residents that showed up. They expressed their concerns, and we were talking with folks, the city council members. They talked to me on the side, and they were expressing the concerns that residents were expressing to them. We've had ongoing dialogue with city officials to hear those concerns, and that's what tonight is about, and is getting those concerns addressed and hearing from you.
Okay, well, we have a question over here. Other side.
Okay.
I'm sorry, ma'am. What's your name?
Michelle Sogier, I live at 1887 Sugarbush Road in Oregon.
And what is your question?
First of all, I have just a statement. All these people that are here for the city council, a lot of us are people that would like to have agriculture, right? And somehow or other, we ended up getting zoned a lot of industrial for our city council. So if we really, truly wanted this, we should all, and I'm saying this for myself as well, show up to all these city council meetings and make sure that the remaining amount of our agriculture land does not get turned into industrial land, and that's the one thing. Then the other thing is, okay, if we're getting this data center, I don't remember, or I couldn't find the, President Trump had a big thing about these data centers and said, the great thing about them is that they're gonna do on-site generation for their own electricity. And I kind of wanna know, like, when, you're saying that you're gonna do that at first, but then you're gonna go into the grid, like, what's to stop you from actually, I would like to see it be a standalone, and my own electricity would be my own electricity, and this thing would do its own little thing. And I get that it's probably a done deal, and that's what I was kind of waiting for that question as well, but, I mean, I am as guilty as everybody else here, allowing for our, on the bay, to become this industrial Oregon. So, whatever, I just wanna know, can we get, what is the plan to have the on-site be the on-site generation in here in Oregon?
So, as I alluded to earlier, we're looking at on-site generation as a bridging solution. Our plan was always that when we got connected to the grid, that bridging solution would then be available to improve grid reliability. It would be extra power generation to help make sure that there was available power in the region. I mean, just adding it to the grid, basically. Data centers prefer to be grid connected, it's what they're used to. And that's always gonna be their first choice. And it's also, you know, it's just for them, they're plugged into the reliability of the whole system. But, you know, they're coming around to the idea that natural gas is on-site a reliable source as well. Our solution was we wanted to come with a bridging solution, connecting to the grid so you had the safety and security of that, right, the redundancy of that. And then the assets would then be able to be dispatchable for First Energy. And that's how we've been approaching this whole model whenever we've approached a utility anywhere in the country. And I think that that's the right path going forward.